Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to be here with all of you. Welcome to a new reality with money, the beginning. The beginning in so many ways. This is the beginning of the Generative Business Pods, which is a 6-month program that we'll talk more about at some point in this call. And also, I would say really the beginning of, for me, something really started to kick in leading up to this call and this program that has been in the works for a long time and is something that I've been asking for a long time. And I'm grateful to have you all be here and be interested and curious and wanting to participate in, receive, contribute to this conversation. So thank you so much. And if you can put your camera on, I love being able to see your face. So please, if you are able to, even if you're like multitasking or whatever, I really like to see people's faces. It's just nice to connect in this way. So yeah. And we are recording this. We're not actually going to be sending the recording out. So we're just saving it for our own purposes. But so thanks for being here live. Gosh, and there's so many places we can go here. I mean, so well, I guess I'll just start with a little bit of context because this is part of the Generative Business Pods, and that is it's a lot of you guys probably know about it. A lot of you guys have been in it before at some point over the past 10 years. I've been doing this program for 10 years. And every 6 months, it's like, again. And so I just keep listening and keep following. And it's a miracle program, I would say. Like, it's really the space of miracles where people come together. We have, different types of calls, big group, small group, private sessions, things like that. But it's really a deep dive exploration into a particular ask, topic, energies, and the program in and of itself has this thrum to it and this beautiful gift and contribution that it is, that when people say yes to it and include it in their lives and take part in it and all of that, it's like miracles just start to occur. And there are just, there are things like that just have this energy that gift you, and are like, yeah, let's go, let's play, And I also really love deep diving with people. I love getting in with people in their businesses and what they're creating and contributing. And so there's something really magical about that, like my presence in your life when you're part of this program, and all of us, like everybody who's taking part. It's like this group of people that gets to be on this journey together and contributing to each other. And so that's the context for, whether you're in the pods or going to do the pods or not. That's the context for this conversation that I want to just start with, and really say, like, because the program itself has this incredible, unique power to really exponentialize everything that people are asking for and creating and choosing in miraculous ways. I want to start by acknowledging that. And that it is a time in the world where there's a lot of change going on economically and with everything, business, creation, economies. There's so much shifting around. And if you look through the lens of what we call in access consciousness, this reality. And if you don't know access consciousness, welcome. A lot of people here do. It's a beautiful, I don't even know what to call it. It's a space, it's a movement, it's a set of tools that just can explode your entire world into so much greater. And so that's what this program is also, that's part of what this is. But you can look at contextual reality, this reality, solid reality, and you can look and see the despair, the depression, a lot of things seeming to fall apart, a lot of change. I don't know that there's very many people in the world right now that would say the world is heading in a great direction based on, what we see, right? The obvious, right? The like, and a lot of that is also what the media wants you to see and the governments want you to see. There's a lot of instilling fear and worry and all of that into the minds of people. And so everything, all of that is, let's use the clearing statement here. So everything, all of that is everywhere you've bought into the narrative that the governments of the world, most of them really want you to buy into so that you become a lot more controllable. Will you destroy and uncreate all of that? Right, wrong, good, bad, all name, puck, pod, shorts, boys, povads, and meons. And one of the things we are talking a lot about right now in Access is personalities and this whole thing about prismatic prisons of judgment, which is basically like all these places where we're just like constantly like judgments and impossibility just being constantly projected and reflected and prismatized, so that you're in this prison that you actually feel like you cannot get out of. And I even this morning had some of that going on. And I think it was part of like my initiation into this call and into this program, because for me, with this new reality with money and the beginning of a new generative business pods, it's been so it's like I participate in the program as well. It works on me as well. And it has started. And sometimes some stuff needs to fall apart a little bit. So I've been in a little bit of that process. But it's been amazing to like, I had this incredible just conversation and facilitation and dismantling of so many things this morning. And it was like, wow, I got to experience my own prismatic prison of judgments being disassembled, in whatever way that it was. And the sense of like, oh my gosh, I have so much more access to my being now. And the Generative Business Pods is a program that I created because I really wanted a space to explore creation with a group of people from being, knowing, perceiving, and receiving, functioning as an infinite being. How do you create business as an infinite being? And I am so grateful that somehow I knew 10 years ago or whenever it was to do that, to start this. And I knew something about the future. It was relevant at the time, and it's even more relevant now in a lot of ways. Because for me, I was like, I actually really like to play with people. I like playmates, I don't really like to be on my own, isolated, and even, that's even why I asked you to turn your cameras on. It's like, I'd rather that we're all in the same room together, but at least we could be looking at each other, and showing our faces and being together, because us coming together, the people asking for a different world, a different reality, I would say non-reality, which we can talk a little bit about, is like absolute for me. And I think for a lot of humanoids, seekers, whatever you want to call yourself right now, it is absolutely vital vital, because there's been so much calculated separation, but of all the crap that's gone on in the world, so much separation, and it's calculated, and it's been, very well orchestrated and perpetrated against humanoids that are creating a greater future. So to me, one of the ways that we actually outcreate that is by coming together to contribute to each other. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about the business pods, is it's that, like, it's this possibility to come together, create together, contribute to each other, explore with each other, and be on this journey together, And so, let's talk a little bit about reality, non-reality. In Access, we have a lot of, there's a lot of different terms that we use and kind of unique ways of describing things. And non-reality is, okay, let me back up and just say reality is where two or more people come together and align and agree on something. And they're like, yes, this is true. This, this is how it is. This is what is. They align and agree. And that thing, whatever it is, becomes solidified. And then it becomes, and as more people align and agree, there's more solidification. When something becomes solid, there's a lot less possibility, a lot less creative juice, a lot less all of that. So, and if you look at money and business as realities, I mean, they're not the same thing. They're different things, but they do play together a lot. As a reality, I mean, if you look at the global reality with money right now, it's pretty dismal, like, for a lot of people. And that's, again, being very well orchestrated. And so the more you align and agree with that, the more you're like, yeah, I know, the more you actually take the power of you as a being, and you turn it into a personality, which is not your being, and you feed the solidity and the impossibility of that. So everything that you're doing, everything that we're all doing to feed the solidity and the impossibility of reality with money and business and creation, can we please destroy and uncreate that, and all the personalities that you're using to feed that and to make that your reality? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POC, POD, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. Oh, wow, that was awesome. Thanks, guys. Oh my goodness. I wasn't looking at the chat. The space created shows up in so many different ways. Instead of freaking out, just open to the possibilities, asking questions, and be kind to my precious body. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And so creation from creating non-reality. And when I say, like this phrase, a new reality with money, it's really a new non-reality with money, but I'm not going to call it that, because people are like, what the hell are you talking about? So I can tell you what that actually is, but a new non-reality with money is where you get to have what's true for you. So all the personalities that you're using and the prismatic prisons of judgment that keep you from having that, will you please destroy and uncreate it? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POC, POD, shorts, boys, poveds, beyonds, and all the personalities and the prismatic prisons of judgment that you've perpetrated and perpetuated on your business, your creative life, and your finances. Will you destroy and uncreate all of that? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POC, POD, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. Yeah, money, non-reality. Viola says, so spacious. That's, and Diana, that is precious, my truth. It's like that's the power of coming together around these conversations and these spaces. And because the power of a lot of people looking with their own unique perspective, and doing these clearings and all of that, it's like, wow, we really get to exponentialize things here, And so, so creating, generating, having, living a non-reality in any way, but let's look at this with money, is really, there's a dynamic level of trusting you that's required, being willing to know what's true for you. Part of that is getting clear on what is your personality and those prismatic prisons of judgment. So getting clear on those things. And a great tool, if you haven't been in like recent classes or whatever, a really wonderful tool, which by the way, Dane here does a 15 billion program. It's, I think, $75 a month or something like that. 2 calls a month, absolutely brilliant. I'm assuming that probably a lot of you guys are on it, but if you're not, it is gold. It's absolute gold. So he's been talking a lot about this, and this is one of the ways you can kind of stay abreast with some of these newer tools and conversations. And so one of the things you can do is go, is this personality or being? So and let me tell you, I mean, I was right up against some very dynamic personality shit of my own this morning. I'm sure it was all mine, given that this call was happening. I probably wasn't aware of anybody else's universe, I am most certainly not perfect. And I, that's the fun thing about this program is like, I'm in there with everybody else. Like I'm facilitating, I'm leading, I bring a lot of my own awareness and tools and all that. And I'm right in there exploring with you guys. So, but whenever anything feels impossible or like I can't, you need to ask, is this personality or is this being? It's personality. I'm just saying, because an infinite being always has possibility and choice and awareness. And like when you're functioning as an infinite being, from being, knowing, perceiving, and receiving, you're functioning from, and also the elements of creation, question, choice, possibility, contribution. Those are sort of like the main pillars, I would say, of the generative business pods, is like really cultivating a space where you create from those energies, and we play with that in lots of different ways. But when you are exploring from that space, it is, it's everything becomes possible. And I've looked at this myself and been like, wow, there's so many things that I've been telling myself recently are not possible. I'm like, that is personality. That is personality, And sometimes we have to go to those spaces to kind of like show ourselves, I was just listening to this audio from Dane, his recent ESB class that he did. He was talking about this, like sometimes you have to actually like take yourself to the shit, basically, the depth of personality, the depth of solid reality in order to like really see how much you're fucking yourself over, basically, and it's beautiful. That's actually kind of a beautiful part of the whole process, because you see it, you get an awareness that you weren't willing to have before, and then you can choose something completely different. So just know that, like, if you can stay in the question of what's right about this, what's right about everything, you're going to have a lot more freedom and space and ease. And we all have our moments, and then that's what the tools are for, is getting, going from the solid to the spacious, going from the personality to the being, going from the impossibility to the possibility, going from reality to non-reality. And when it comes to money and business, it's like one of the things that I'm aware of is really available right now. There's so many. So I talked about how, the world seems sort of, kind of abysmal right now. And that's one way to look at things, through the eyes of reality, personality, all that stuff. Now, if you look from curiosity, from the energetics of things, like there's actually enormous amounts of possibility showing up, And so it just depends on your perspective, your point of view, which is what creates your reality. And continually looking through the lens of possibility, curiosity, infinite being, the elements of creation, it allows you to continually expand space upon space upon space upon space, into a non-reality and a greater future in all ways. And it also requires a level of willingness to be different dynamically, willingness to see what's true in the world that you may not want to see. It's not always pretty. And willingness to like continually strengthen your capacity to function from that space of infinite being and the elements of creation and possibility, And so to me, part of the business pods, the beauty of the way the program is designed is it's like you're going to the gym every day, you're like in it, you're steeping in this conversation and this group and this, of like, yeah, we're like, this is what we're committed to, and it's not like we're all on the same page. I mean, the beauty of it is there's so much different awareness and so many different perspectives and different types of businesses. And some people don't even have businesses. It's like, the uniqueness and the diversity is really cool because we get to explore together. But it's a 6-month energetic gym membership, where you're gonna go every day, you're like in it, you're like, I'm in it, I'm steeping myself in this, the possibility conversation, and with this like generation, creation, actualization of non-reality, your non-reality with money, there's so much to be explored because a non-reality is it's a reality. It's really a space that is continually moving and expanding and opening. And it's the way that you feed it is by knowing what you know. The way that you feed it is by trusting you. The way that you feed it is by functioning as an infinite being, is by not being seduced by the personalities, the prismatic prison of judgment, all the impossibility, relationships. I mean, a lot of it is people in our lives that are like, no, don't go. I mean, this morning when I was like, my friend that was facilitating me was like, who are you, doing all these personalities for? And I was like, oh, basically everybody, like basically literally everybody in my life, And I was like, I'm totally controlling everybody in my life with this, and I'm like, wow, but it takes a lot of vulnerability to go, shit, well, that's potent of me. Probably not my best use of my potency, oops, but then we have these tools and then we go, great, okay, let's fucking pot it, let's clear it, let's make some different choices, step into some new energies, and then boom, off to the races, and I literally feel like there's been something going on for me for a year that changed for me this morning. I'm like, I'm a completely different person. It's really exciting. So thank you all for your contributions. And we get to do this with each other, and this is like, it's just so cool. So when it comes to the institution and generation and creation and exploration of non-reality with money. What's true for you? What do you know about money and creation that you've never been willing to know, never been willing to choose, never been willing to have? And what if all the change in the world is the opening like, what if there is a space of possibility open right now? There's doors sitting open that nobody is walking through because nobody sees those open doors, because everybody's so busy with their personalities looking at the impossibility. And what if it is our time as humanoids and seekers and people who know something different, who desire a greater future, truly, to step through those doors and be like, shit, nobody else is like, does nobody, like, it's kind of like when you get to like the security, at the airport, and you're like, okay, there's nobody in that line, but then like all these other lines are really full. And you're kind of like, does that, like, should I not go to that line? Is there something like, why is nobody in that line? Well, because people are dumb and they just follow the fucking masses. You can go get in the line and be like, oh, yeah, I get in the short line, because I'm on the short bus. And that's a great thing. So, and we probably all know those, how those things show up, some version of that analogy. So what if you were willing to choose that unabashedly? What if you were willing to run in that direction unabashedly, be it, have it, go for it, and and be supported in letting go, because there's a letting go process that we have to do with this reality, with how we thought things were, with people, relationships, all that stuff. There is a letting go process, and it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be, tumultuous. Like, there is always a choice for ease available to us. And sometimes we, just have to tweak some things to make that choice more available, like more something that we can choose. But what I'm so excited to do is to explore all of these non-realities, like futures and possibilities with business creation and money that haven't actually existed before. Like, it wasn't their time to be born yet, but it is their time to be born through us now. It is, and you can have that perspective, and then that becomes the space from which you create. And you can also be like, but I'm at the effect of the world and all the impossibility. And then that becomes your reality, and it's a choice that requires a lot of presence, diligence, tools, vulnerability, intimacy with you. And then there's this movement that comes that is, we have to be the ones to keep choosing it, to keep nurturing it, because everything in the world is going to tell you not to do that, and so you've got to like feed your own choices and knowing and all of that from your presence with you, and your commitment to creating what truly, and exploring what that is, more and more all the time. And having a group of people to do that with is so valuable, if that's how you create, Lael.
When is it going to start? And how can I register? I know this. What you're saying, I know, Heather.
Yeah.
And you said it, you energetically, physically said it so eloquently that I know this I know. I
Yeah.
know we are the creators of a new reality. Every class I register in is to create a new future that never has been on this earth.
I love that.
I know. And I want to be there, Heather.
Oh, well, I would love for you to be there. That's awesome. That's
Yes.
awesome. Yeah.
Can we have a registration link? Can we have it?
Yeah.
Like I have.
Yes.
Yes.
Parisa can post it in the chat. And it's, yeah, heathernichols.com/business pods. So it starts, the first call is Wednesday, Thursday, Wednesday. What I'm like, I don't know. It's next week sometime, the 21st. Yeah, Wednesday. And it's, so the program you can pay in full, and there's a it's slightly discounted if you pay in full. And you can also pay monthly. And I set it up that way because I really wanted people to be able to create the funds for the class as they went, because I've seen so many times that people sign up, they might have the first payment, they make the first payment, and then everything starts to change and their money starts to flow. And because you're in this new movement, and so it's $700 a month USD, if you want to pay monthly. And then it's, what is it? Pay in full, Parisa? Is it?
370, 3,750. I
Okay.
tried to pay in full and it directed me to email.
Yeah. So the reason we did that is because we prefer, if you're going to pay in full, we prefer a bank transfer, but we can also send you a link for a credit card if you want to do credit card. So
Yes,
can you post the credit card link as well?
thank you.
On that page, the Business Pods page, it has both a link to do the monthly payments, and a link to the link to pay in full goes to an email, but we'll put, yeah, so there's the full payment link, and then there's can you post the monthly one as well, Parisa? So yeah, and so we had a thing where, so I'll tell you guys a little bit about the program, and I do want to take some questions too. So I more questions. The program, the way that it's designed is there's and I'm doing a little bit differently this time, which I'm really excited about. But we have group calls twice a month that are kind of like this, where I come and I deliver a topic, an exploration. And of course there's questions and stuff. And it's really based on like what's going on in the group, because I'm very in there connected to everybody. It's a small group. So I'm aware of what's going on in everybody's lives and businesses and stuff. And then there's pod calls every month, and everybody in the program gets one pod call that they get to be on live. And then you can listen to the recordings of all of them. But a pod call is with 5 people or fewer. And that's where you come and you actually bring your questions. So it's like if you're going to come and have kind of like a little mini private session with me that also has some relevance to the other people. But the pod calls are extremely magical, because they get like these conversations just grow and evolve, and people get to listen to other people being facilitated, and they're really cool. And so you get to listen to all those recordings, and then you sign up for one of them based on your schedule, based on the times that we have available each month. And then there's 2 private sessions with me for a half hour over the 6 months. And then there's also this is the new part that I'm really stoked about, is we're going to have 2 45-minute calls each month with really diving into the how to become money workbooks and access. So the first one and the advanced one, we'll just kind of play where we go. It's not going to be a linear thing. But those will be specifically playing with the questions in the money workbooks. And those, yay, thanks, Lael. I'm so happy. So those workbooks are absolutely phenomenal. I did a 100-day program last year where we went through the first How to Become Money workbook, and oh my gosh, I mean, it absolutely exploded so many things for so many people, including money flows. And a lot of us really felt like we got to a space of peace with money no matter what, which I think is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself with money, because it comes, it goes, it ebbs, it flows. If you have peace, that's the greatest wealth that you can have. And those money workbooks really create some cash flow from what I've seen. So I'm excited to dive back into them. You want peace with money? I know it's really, I mean, that is absolutely wealth. Yeah. And it's amazing to, those money workbooks, they really just chip away at all these points of view about money that you don't even know that you have. I mean, there are so many of them, and a lot of them are probably not even yours, and now we have the tool of personality, clearing the personalities, and this prismatic prison of judgment. So I bring in, some of the newer conversations. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, and then there's all kinds of bonuses that I throw in. I mean, whatever I'm doing, energetic adventures or calls or whatever, I give a lot of bonuses as we go. So you won't be, there's no shortage of content, basically. Yeah, so great. So other questions about it, is it going to be on Kajabi? It's not on Kajabi, but we do have a Telegram group that tends to be fairly active depending on the group, but it's a really great place for people to communicate with each other. I mean, you really get to know each other, you get to know each other's businesses, and it's just such a beautiful space. And we do have folders with all the recordings, and it's very well organized. Parisa is like magic and amazing. There's one Zoom link for the whole time. Like, it's just very well laid out. So EJG, exactly, is joy and glory. That's our motto. Yeah. So other questions about, it could be about the pods, but it can also just be about this topic of the new reality with money and anything that you're exploring.
Well, I don't have a question, but I'm aware of a new reality. Like it's so near. It's so there. I'm aware of it. Ever since maybe it started with the CFB in Dubai, and then with the prismatic presence of judgment, and then the ESB in Istanbul, and it's like, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. And the JCF in the middle between both of them.
Joy business facilitator. Yeah.
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 It's so there. Like it is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't think like there is a time when a personality pops in. I think it's future, like distant future. And then when I put on popular personalities, fuck, I'm in it. I am that new reality.
That's amazing.
It's here.
Yeah.
It's here. I think I just need to allow it even more and more and more without trying to define it in any which way.
Yes. And thank you for saying that, because that is huge. Allowing it without trying to define it. When you're creating something brand new, this non-reality, this like moving into a space of greater possibility, greater future, anytime you give it definition, you actually limit what's possible. And that is an entirely different space of creation that does require a lot of presence, asking a lot of questions, asking new and different questions, making new and different choices, and really exploring, what it is that and getting to this particular tool of the personality versus being, it's like, it's faster. There's a speed more than ever of, with that tool going, is this personality or is this being? It's personality. Okay, everything that allows this to exist, I'm going to destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, puck, pod, shorts, boys, poveds, and mans. If you're really willing to let it go, which, I'll say more about that in a moment because that can be really confronting. But if you are really willing to let it go, what is left is a lot more being. And from and as that space, you will perceive new energies, new awarenesses, new possibilities, new choices. In order to create something that you've not had before, you have to choose things that you haven't chosen before. And, one of the things I've been doing is just asking a lot for that. Like, what are the choices that I can make that I haven't been willing to make? I mean, if you really want a doozy of a question, you can ask, what are the choices that I can be making that I'm not willing to make because I don't want to lose my family? Don't ask that and pug and pot it, because, oh my God, it works. And if you're willing to lose your family, then you also, and family is, broad, but like, that's also creates a much greater space of the willingness to not function from personalities, because we create our personalities to address all the people around us, to be engaged and involved with the people around us. And so, there's a level of discomfort that's involved with that you have to be willing to have. And this is what I was going to say about the personalities, is that we use our personalities to control. Like, we use them to control situations and people and responses and all that stuff. And it's like, when we do that, to give up the personality, you have to be willing to give up the control. And that is massive. That is really, there's an immense amount of vulnerability that comes with that. And not knowing, not really knowing kind of like where to go, how to function, how to create. That's the beginning of a non-reality with creation, where everything becomes possible. And there's so many miracles that can open up in that space. So everything that doesn't allow that, we destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, puck, pod, shorts, boys, poveds, and meons. Yeah.
Sorry from
No, you're good.
Okay. Here's the thing. When you're talking and asking questions and poking, I notice when I go to that place where I need to define it, because I see it like I know it is, and then I go trying to explain it to other people. So, like, when I want to herd them into it,
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Can you facilitate me with that, please?
Well, yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because I'm sure you're the only one who does that, right? Like, oh God, there's so many possibilities. Let's go, And it's like, most people aren't asking for that. Most people aren't asking for the level of change that you guys are willing to have, So first of all, please acknowledge you. Please acknowledge you, every single one of you that is here. Acknowledge yourself for the difference that you be. The more we are willing to do that, one of the challenging things is the more we start to see the insanity around us, the impossibility that people love, that people choose, it's so there's also a lot more space. Like, truly, there's a lot more space, right? And with space comes a lot more awareness. And a lot of times, a lot more awareness is not always comfortable or easy. You have to be honest with yourself about the people in your life, what they're willing and unwilling to have, and all that stuff. So, that's definitely a different, you got to be willing to see that, and I mean, I've had to look at this with my son and my ex-husband and my parents and my partner, and it's like, wow, I would love for them to come along, but that they have not asked for that. And the amazing thing is that, like, that's not wrong, it like, and what if it's even personality to want people to come along? What if that's also a personality thing, to be like, because if they don't come along, what does that mean to you? For a lot of us, it's like, well, that means I'd be alone, you know? And well, what is alone? So everything, all of that is everything that brings up and lets down, we destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, puck, pod, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. And, when you are a potent creature, which you all are, in your own unique way, it's, there's definitely, like, it goes back again to that willingness to be different. Um, it can be very confronting. And yet, that is also where the joy and the ease and the glory is. It's where the different financial reality is. It's where the magical, miraculous business is, it's because as long as we're not functioning from who we actually be, which of course there's more available with that all the time. But as long as we're not functioning from that, we are debilitating ourselves in every way with creation, and this is the beauty of when things get challenging and they feel kind of sometimes like insurmountable, is it's like, that's the rub, the personalities and the being like rubbing up against each other, and the being being like, excuse me, there's so much more, like, can we please have it? Can we please go? And the personality being like, no, and then it gets heavy, because anything that's not true for you is heavy. So anything that's heavy, and I have to remind myself this a lot, because when I'm in a heavy moment, it's like, not me, not true for me, and then that's your choice point, what would you like to choose from there? And it's where it's where the magic really, really lives. And I know, I Dane tells the story about him and Gary. Dane and Gary are the creators of Access, the founders of Access. And he says Gary said to him at one point, I'm something about, like, I'm willing to be alone, or I'm willing to go alone, because if I'm willing to go alone, I will go. I know I will go. If you're not willing to go alone, if you're not willing to be alone, you're gonna have to hold yourself back for everybody and every reason that you can think of. And that will constantly eat away at you as a humanoid, constantly. And it's why we get depressed. It's why we have dips in our money flows. It's why creation doesn't work. It's why our bodies get distressed, is because we're not being the fullness of who we came here to be, and so it can sometimes feel like a really challenging, moment to choose that go alone, but it's like, for me, what I've gotten to with it is like, well, I mean, why would I not? Like, like, everything I'm asking for shows up in that space. So why why would I not? And everything that sucks. It shows up when I don't choose that space, you know? So just sort of a pragmatic way of looking at it, you know, and that, you know, that can give you some kind of like motivation or whatever to, you know, accept, like, step up to the challenge, you know, and the the privilege of being able to choose this, like the privilege of being able to have these conversations, you know. I mean, how lucky are we that we get to get together all over the world, from all over the world, in rooms, in Zooms, whatever, and have these conversations. How fucking cool is that? And I love having these conversations a lot. And that's the invitation to the business pods, is if you want to have these conversations a lot, come. If you think you can't afford it, you're right. If you think you can afford it, you're right. Especially with this one, you know, when we're like totally diving into money, it's like, this shit works, you know. And so yeah, you guys are wholeheartedly invited to come and play. It's one of my favorite spaces, one of my favorite things to do, and always lights up my universe, these calls. When we go into the smaller groups, will we have the recordings of the other groups too? Yes. Yeah. So the way the pod calls work is one, you know, it's kind of like once a month. It's a little, we're not on like an actual month. It's kind of like a 4-week cycle, but there's a sign up, and you sign up for, there's, you know, different times. I always schedule them at different times so they cover all time zones. And we do our best with the group calls. I don't usually schedule them until the group has come together more, so I know the time zones that we're working with, because I always try to work with the time zones that are, you know, it's always going to be Europe and the US, because there's always Europeans and like Americans, you know. And then sometimes Australians or Asia, you know, it depends on where else in the world. But I always look at that when I schedule the calls, and they're of course all recorded. But with the pod calls, you get a choice, and you just sign up for that one, and there's other, you know, 4 other people with you, and then you come, it's recorded, you know, and then as the other ones occur, the recordings get uploaded, and then you get to listen to those, and they're really, really cool calls. Yeah. So any other questions or comments or anything? We closed we have this kind of like early registration period for the pods, where if you pay in full, you get an extra private session with me. And it was closed yesterday. We kind of scheduled that before we scheduled this call, or even knew that we were doing it. And I will extend that until the end of the day today in the US. So like, I don't know, the next, what would that be, like 12 hours or so. If you pay in full, you get an extra private session with me, just to open it to you guys, since maybe you didn't know about it. Yeah, so you get that, Leah. Yeah. And then, you know, like I said, you can also do the monthly recurring, and that, the way you do that is you just set up a PayPal recurring payment, and it'll pull 700 out of your account the same date every month for 6 months. So if you have any questions after this, you can ping me. You know, if you have me on like WhatsApp or Facebook or Telegram, I'm everywhere. So you can find me wherever you know to find me. Feel free to ping me and ask me questions. We also have, like, if it's more of a logistical one, if you email info@heathernichols.com, you'll get me, Parisa, and Patty, who all kind of see those emails. So if it's more about payments, or if you want, bank transfer information, that's what we're always appreciate when people pay that way, because there's a lot less fees, but credit card is fine too, for the payment in full. Yeah. Anything else before we go? I don't want to go. I don't want to hang up. Can we just like hang out now?
I have to say, I'm very grateful that I saw this email, that I joined this call. I'm so grateful. Really,
Thank you. I'm so
much is
happy.
everything.
Awesome. I really look forward to playing with you more.
Yeah,
It's so fun because this program is like we're just playing, we're creating, we're exploring together for 6 months. It's like, it's so fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
Say goodbye because I have to hit the road. It's an hour drive to my house.
Okay. Well, thank you all. We're gonna end. As much as I want to stay, we'll let you all go. So thank you so much, everybody. Take care. Bye for now.